Welcome back. In this lesson, we'll learn about tuple data type in Python. Tuples are used to store multiple elements in a single variable like list, but it's an immutable data type. Immutable means we cannot try to change or modify the tuple once it's created. So that's called as immutable data type. Now let's try to create a tuple and then print the tuple. I'll create a tuple called t is equal to, and then I'll open the parenthesis brackets. So for list data type, we'll be using the square brackets and then we'll give all the elements inside the square brackets. But whereas for a tuple data type, we will give inside the parenthesis bracket. Python differentiate the data type with the help of the bracket. We need to be very careful while giving the bracket for the list and tuple data type. Now I'll give some numbers inside the tuple. After that, I'll print the tuple. We can see I'm getting the complete tuple as the output. So if I want to find the type of my tuple, I'll say type of t and then I'll run. So it says class tuple. It belongs to the tuple data type. Similarly, here in the concept of tuple also, we have the concept of index numbers. If you want to access each and every element, we'll be using the index number and then access the elements. Let's say I want to access the second element in the tuple. So I'll say t of, inside the square brackets, I'll give the index number. So if it's going to be a second element, always the index number will start from 0. So 0, the second element is nothing but the index number will be 1. I'll say t of 1 and then I'll run. I'm getting the output as 30. So this is how we can use the positive indexing and as well as negative indexing also we can use. So in case if I say -2 and then when I run, I'm getting the output as 70. In the -1 index, 32 is present, and then in the -2, 70 is present. So that's why the output is 70. Also, we can do the slicing operation. Just try to take a small part of the tuple. I'll give the starting index, colon, ending index, 2 colon 5 I'll give. I'll run. I'm getting the output as 50, 66, 70. So always remember, the whatever we are giving at the last index, that the fifth index, whatever we are giving, that index will not get included in the output. So in the fifth index, actually the element 32 is there, so that we are not getting that in the output. Whatever element is there in the second index, third index and fourth index, that will get printed over. So this is the slicing operation. Next, we'll see concatenation of the tuple. I'll get one more tuple called as t1 and then I'll give 100, 200, 300. So 3 numbers I'll give. Now I'll say print t plus t1 and I'll run. So I'll get 2 tuples combined together, concatenated together, and then I'll get that as the output. So this is how we can perform concatenation operation in the tuple. Next, let's see how we can find out the length of the tuple. So we'll use the len function. So len of t, then I'll run. I'm getting the output as 6. So there are totally 6 elements in the t tuple. So if I want to find out in the t1 tuple, I'll say len of t1. So the output is 3. So there are totally 3 elements in the t1 tuple. Next, we'll learn about tuple repetition. So tuple repetition is nothing but when we want to repeat a tuple multiple times, we can use the asterisk symbol. That's nothing but the multiplication operator to repeat the tuple multiple times. I'll say t1 multiplied by 3. So what I'm doing is I'm just multiplying the tuple 3 times. So you can see 100, 200, 300. So again it's getting repeated for the second time. Again it's getting repeated for the third time. So like this it'll repeat and then we'll get the output as a tuple. So this is called as tuple repetition. Next, we'll see how we can use the membership operators in tuple. So membership operators are nothing but in and not in. So we have 2 membership operators. So it's nothing but the membership operators are used to find out whether a particular element is present inside the tuple or not. I'll say print. I want to check whether the element 100 in the tuple t. Okay, so here I want to find out whether the element 100 is present inside the tuple. T is the first tuple over here. So I'll run. I'm getting the answer as false because 100 is actually not present inside the tuple t. It's only present inside the tuple t1, right? So now if I check 100 not in t, when I run, I'm getting it as true because I'm checking it is not inside the tuple. So that's why I'm getting the output as true over here. So this is the in and not an operator to check whether a particular element is present inside the tuple or not. Now let's see some tuple methods. Let me create a new tuple with multiple elements over here. So I'm having some repeated elements inside this tuple. Now let's say I want to find out how many times the number 2 is repeated inside the tuple. So for that we have a method called as count. So what this count will do is it will try to count how many times a particular value is present inside the tuple. I'll say print t dot count and then I'll give the element over here. So I want to count how many times the value 2 is present inside the tuple. Now when I execute, I'm getting the answer as 2 times because here one time it is present and then here another time. So totally 2 times it's present. So now if I want to check t dot count 7, I want to find out how many times the element 7 is present. So if I run, I'm getting the answer as 0 because the 7 element is actually not present inside my tuple t. This method is used to find out how many times a particular element is repeated in the tuple. Next, we learn about an index method. So what is the purpose of the index method is, if I want to find out an element at which index it is present. So let's say I have an element 5. I want to find out at which index that element is present. So I'll say t dot index 5. Okay, so t dot index 5. I want to find out the element 5 is present at which index. Now when I execute, I am getting the output as 4 because the 5 element is present at the 4th index. So this the 0th index, then 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the 4th index, the element 5 is present. So now you can have a doubt. Even here also I have the value 5 and here also I have the value 5. So totally 5 is present 3 times, but it's returning only the value 4. So what the index method will do is, it will return the index number of the first occurrence. That means 5 is first occurring over here. So that's why I'm getting the output as 4. This is about the tuple data type. Most of the operations what you perform are very similar to the list and strings because the data type strings, list and tuple all comes under the category of sequential data types. So that's why most of the operations whatever we have learned in list, tuple and strings are similar. Practice question. Create a tuple named t that contains the following elements. So we have some 4-5 elements over here and then we need to perform the following operation. So we need to access and print the second element, then use the slicing to extract the first 3 elements of the tuple and then check if the value of banana is present in the tuple, find the index of the item 7 in the tuple and then create a new tuple by concatenating t with another tuple and then print the result. So we need to perform these 5 operations and then print it. Solution. So first we'll go and create this tuple. I'll say t is equal to and then I'll give this tuple. The first question is access and print the second item in the tuple. So the second item is nothing but 3.14, right? So this is the second item. But the index is, this is the 0th index. So this is the first index. So I want to print the first index. So I'll say print t of 1. I'll run. I'm getting the second index in the output. The second question is use slicing to extract and print the first 3 elements of the tuple. So first 3 elements, that's apple, 3.14 and the 7. We need to print it. So I'll say print, I'll open the square bracket. So starting index is nothing but from 0, colon, and then till the 7 we want. Okay. So that means 7 is nothing but at the second index. So I'll give till 3. So only then till second index it will get printed because the last element will not get included while printing. When I run, I'm getting the tuple. So apple 3.14 and 7. So it has sliced and then I have got the output. So third question is check if the value banana is present inside the tuple. So if I want to check whether a particular value is present, we need to use the membership operator. I'll say banana in the tuple t. Now when I run, I'm getting the output as true because it is present inside the tuple, right? So that's why I'm getting the output as true. Fourth question is find the index of the item 7 in the tuple. So here the element 7 is present. So now I want to find the index of this one. So I'll say t dot index. So I'm nothing but I'm using the index method, and then I want to find out for the value 7. When I run, I'm getting the output as 2 because it's present at the second index. So the last question is create a new tuple by concatenating t with another tuple 20, 30 and all. So first I'll create another one tuple. Let's call this t1 is equal to, and then I'll create the tuple. Now I'll come and I'll say t plus t1. I'm printing this. So the output is all the elements in the first tuple combined by the next tuple. So this is the output. So this is the solution for this question.